The quick thing is getting punched in the face in New York. So there's several viral TikToks where a bunch of women just talk about being punched in the face by random people in New York. The first one that went viral was clip 100.
Okay.
You guys, I was literally just walking and a man came up and punched me in the face. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I can't even talk. Literally, I fell to the ground and now this giant goose egg is forming and I'm like, oh my God, it looks so crazy.
But there's several of these, so we'll just let's just go to another one, 101.
I literally just got punched by some man on the sidewalk. He goes, sorry, and then punches me in the head. Holy fuck, what the hell just happened? Oh my God.
So there are these groups of hoodlums that
just
walk the streets?
It's just
it's
women,
one guy.
Just, one guy will just walk up and just
meaning
smash
it's
a woman
more
in the
than one
face.
person that's doing this, meaning that...
So it seems that there has been a viral wave of this involving one guy who has been arrested. And let me see, where's the article here? And so several people have been getting arrested, or one guy has been getting arrested for this, and he is, I believe, the grandson of Marcus Garvey, and he ran for mayor as a member of the...
He claims he's the grandson of Marcus
Claims.
Garvey.
Okay. All right. And what's incredible about this, one, is that you could just do this with impunity, because in New York, you can punch someone in the face and you won't be tackled by bystanders because no one wants to get charged with, murder if that person happens to drug out while they're being held down. And
or getting the wrong.
Police aren't going to chase them down. Or even if they do get arrested, if it's not a high-profile political story, odds are very good they will be let out. This seems to be about a different person here. But did we get that video I sent you guys?
If you tackle the wrong guy and call him a guy, you could also be charged in New York. Right? You don't want to tackle.
I'll give you that one, Tyler. That was hilarious.
You don't want to tackle with pronouns involved.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm waiting on this clip here. A woman, a 57-year-old woman, was punched in the face in Brooklyn, and they had to wire her mouth shut because her jaw was broken. So it's like
but we don't know if this was all the same guy.
We don't.
Right?
There is one that went viral. There's
one. Because it was like on like some TikTok influencer, but then they caught the guy, and this was the Marcus Garvey so-called grandson or whatever.
For sure.
But it's clear. It's not at all clear that there's not more than one person doing this. Like it could be. It seems to me like it's kind of like the knockout game, but for women that has kind of returned.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just So this example that hopefully we'll have the clip soon, but this woman, 57-year-old woman, punched in the face, jaw wired shut, and apparently the suspect has 7 prior arrests and has, in fact, already is either been released or will soon be released and is not even eligible to be required to do bail. It's just, it turns out punching random people in the face is one of those things you can be let out for. But, don't worry. I mean, if they don't show up for their court hearing, I guess we'll put out a notice for their arrest, which police will be in no hurry to actually execute. And there is something profoundly demented and insane that has taken hold in cities where, here's a fact of life. We hear all this crap where, people commit crime because they're driven by poverty. No. A lot of people commit crimes because they're deranged predators.
That is the number one talking point I get on campuses, is they say poor people commit crimes. And there's no... Theodore Dalrymple debunks this in his book.
It's total bullcrap.
Life at the Bottom.
Yeah. It's total bullcrap. People commit crimes because they are predatory by nature.
Yes.
They find it fun. Why do people... look at what happens. There's an explosion of car thefts. Are people stealing cars because they then go and sell the car to get money? No. What's exploded is these kids, a lot of them are just teenagers, they'll steal a car and they'll just use it like an Uber. They'll drive for an hour somewhere and then they'll just ditch the car. They're doing it for fun. And they're not getting punished for it. And in cities, the version of this we get is you have 6 psychos who like hurting women. Newsflash, a lot of men like hurting women, so they punch them in the face.
Or they become trans.
Yeah, or they become trans and then punch them in the face, and now they're sports heroes, and they'll get on the cover of ESPN or something.
That's what happens.
And it's just this sick stuff, and it's happening.
But I mean, I mean, kind of single women run New York. They're kind of like the most important demographic politically in New York. They make the most noise and they're super involved in politics. Are they okay with this? Or are they going to put up with it?
So that's the thing. I think actually what happens is there are single women. They are very important for this, but I think when this stuff explodes, they kind of learn where they actually stand in the so-called progressive stack. You've heard about the progressive stack, right?
Yeah, I'm fuzzy on
It's
it. But yeah.
This is a literal idea the activists will have where you can just rank people by how privileged they are, and they will argue about where you should stand. So sometimes you'll see that like any white person is automatically at the bottom, even if they have all the other things, and like so it'll often be like,
Yes.
okay, if you're black, you're at the top, and then if you're
Yeah, the Oppression
indigenous,
Olympics or, yeah.
and then if you're gay, you're higher than a straight person in the same group, and
Yes.
women should always be higher. Then I mean, they argue about this, and we've had cultural moments where you kind of allow women to think, oh, we're pretty high up. Like we have those, the campus sexual assault thing. That was a big story about a decade ago.
The women's march.
And yeah, the women's march stuff. And they'll think like, okay, we're really high on the progressive stack. And then something comes along like, oh, actually, we're going to let criminals beat the crap out of you and not arrest them. And if you complain about it, you're a Karen. And we're going to pass a law called the Karen Act, where if you call the police over it and we don't like the fact that you did that, we will throw you in jail and fire you from your job for it.
Let's play cut 115. That adds some detail to this.
It is a random, unprovoked, vicious attack on a 57-year-old woman in Brooklyn. Watch as the suspect ignores another man walking nearby, then punches the woman in her face, causing her to stumble backwards.
What happened? Why you hitting me? Why you hitting me? I was bleeding a lot. Mom, I'm so scared, I'm so afraid.
Dulce Pichardo was on the receiving end of that punch. Her mouth now wired shut, her face fractured in several places, drinking food out of a straw for 6 weeks, permanent damage to her lower lip, 3 teeth knocked out, and she might need surgery.
That's a hard punch.
That's a real hard punch. Do these people get prison time or any consequential punishment?
Often no. And what's frustrating is it'll happen, but it's like a political calculation. Oh, it'll finally be a big enough story on the news, and so maybe they'll vaporize one guy over it. But what you get over and over is like those guys on subways who are just trying to shove people on the tracks or attacking people, is they'll do one thing after another with no consequences until they finally kill somebody. And then that's a big
Yes.
enough problem we have to punish them. And that's another truth with crime. Anyone who's got to the level where they are killing people or seriously maiming them and shooting them almost always has lower level crimes where we could have stopped them. We could have imprisoned this person or punished this person enough to get them on a better track, and we choose not to do it. And then we act all shocked when they eventually kill someone. And then we let these same parasites who are enabling all this to happen come along and say, well, actually, it's a society and privilege that's to blame.
And then people say, well, where are the men? I can tell where the men are. Daniel Penny was a man who stood up against crime, and he's facing 15 years in prison. That's where men went. So men are like, screw it. I'm not going to defend the women. I'll go to jail. So if a individual, black or whatever color, comes up and punches a woman in the face, and someone comes up and then tackles that guy and waits for the cops to come, the guy who tackled the criminal would probably be punished more than the person who...
Exactly. Men want to be heroic, but not very many men are going to be heroic if there is enormous social sanction against doing it.
Yes.
Men will do difficult and incredible things as long as they know they will be regarded as heroes for doing it. But if you're going to say you're evil for doing it, they won't. No one wants to get killed and then also be considered a bad guy afterwards.
Well, this is the core of New York. I mean, you look at Letitia James with what's going on. I mean, this is all connected, right? When you create a culture within a state, in a city for sure, where you're going after, where politics takes precedent, with your prosecutors that are happening and people in their communities don't feel safe, you start to have society unravel. I think that's what you're seeing in many of our states, particularly blue states. But I mean, this is the feeling. If you ask any average Republican, what's the biggest issue outside of border security? It's, people just don't feel super safe and secure in the country in which we live right now.